Swati.
I'm Sati.
We warmly welcome you all on behalf of Delhi Private School Dubai for an educative session on what works from concept to reality, how we plan, implement and assess in early years. We start with a befitting quote by Edwin Hubble. Equipped with his 5 senses, man explores the universe around him and calls the adventure science. When we think of science, we have multifarious skills which are required, such as observation, inquiry, exploration, reasoning, hypothesis, inference, research, and many more aspects. It is as vast as the universe itself, and our children are its explorers. Neuroscience research shows that the critical aspects in brain architecture are shaped by experiences in the first few years of life. It is therefore very important to take advantage of these early stages to help develop children's learning capacities. Inquiry and exploration are foundation for math and science which begin with the early years. The vision of our institution is of natural, holistic, student-centered learning environment that empowers and inspires our students to be creative, innovative, lifelong learners. The mission of our school is to provide a high-quality, joyous learning environment for its students in which they collaborate to learn and become responsible global citizens. To make the teaching and learning experience enduring and comprehensive, we ensure vertical progression and horizontal integration in our teaching program. Now we begin our invigorating journey on how we plan, implement and assess in the subject of science.
The formative steps to planning begins with preparing concept map, subject map and grade map. Concept map. Our teachers brainstorm, generate ideas, explore and create a 360-degree view of the concept to be taught, which includes the big idea, concept, lesson objectives, skills, co-curricular links, assessments, activities and projects, resources needed, and time duration. The curriculum is mapped, keeping in mind the special and differentiated needs of the students. The subject map gives the teachers a panoramic view of the progression of the concept from one grade to the other. This highlights the grade-wise progression in the topics taught. Grade map is a horizontal analysis which highlights all activities, projects done in all the subjects theme-wise and month-wise. We ensure integration of science, not only with core subjects, but also with arts and physical education. This cross-curricular teaching supports and promotes transfer of knowledge from one domain to the other, increases students' motivation for learning and their level of engagement.
Good afternoon, everyone. George, what are you doing in English these days? Sarina, what did you do last week in English?
We learned part of a plant.
Wonderful. Can Harshit, can you name any one part of the plant? Akshita? Faiza? Flower. Great.
Even in English, we are doing about plants.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Ma'am, that in English to art and also EVS.
Oh, that's brilliant, guys. Okay, now I want you all to draw any part of the plant you want to draw.
Brainstorming and mock drill sessions amongst teachers are held on regular basis, which results in the in-depth planning of the curriculum. A monthly lesson research is a document prepared for each subject along with daily lesson plans. A learning matrix is designed which gives the students an overall view of the concepts learnt. For instance, learning about the parts of a plant becomes a fun-filled activity when the students explore different shapes of leaves, visualize the colors of the flowers and identify the parts of a plant and much more. The lesson plans take care of the academic needs and the learning styles of students that are visual, auditory and kinesthetic, which emphasizes on special needs, class activities which are independent, collaborative and differentiated. The plans are designed in such a way that the students are able to participate productively in scientific practices. Critical and differentiated questioning and investigation form an integral part of the science lesson plans. The methodology which students encounter in the class reflect a range of investigations. For example, experiments on properties of air, solubility tests, mixing of primary colors to make secondary colors, investigation on parts of the plants stimulate the little minds.
The efficacy in planning is judged by its implementation in our classrooms. To build self-learning skills, confidence and collaboration, circle time is allocated during the lessons where learning is scaffolded with interaction, Socratic questioning which goes beyond textbooks and reflection. This leads to a constructive classroom climate.
Children, look at the pictures, observe, frame questions for one another.
Amish, I think that the rocks have eroded. Why do you think so? Because in the deserts before and all there used to be many rocks and because of the sun's heat they might have broken down. I have one question to ask to Suhana. Why is the camel called the ship of the desert? The camel is called the ship of the desert as that animal is able to survive in the hot sunny desert and has padded feet and thick jaws and strong teeth.
Some learning activities we use are sensory stimulation through think table. At the beginning of the lesson, the minds of the students are stimulated by exposing them to a variety of stimulating materials displayed. This encourages curiosity, observation, reasoning and analysis and leads students from known concept to unknown.
These are the words. Look at that girl. Her name is Bella. Yeah. Look at this. That's a man. How is it? It's a man. This is a farmer. Look at that dog. Question mark. Can I have a question mark? Look at this farmer here. Look at this cat. Look at this farmer. Dog. That's right.
Our vibrant corridors generate curiosity and stimulate young minds to explore science topics taught in the class and aids in extended learning. The flipped classroom is a pedagogical model in which a typical lecture and homework elements of a course are reversed. Children view the uploaded science video and other scientific material through our comprehensive learning platform, which is followed by group discussion, show and tell, role play, and other activities in the student-led classrooms. This helps the students to take ownership of their learning. Here we show a video where students are conducting a role play where they summarize their learning.
One morning, as the sun rose, the breeze was swaying in the gentle breeze. A farmer came to water the plants. He forgot to water one little baby plant behind the tree. I'm here. You forgot to water me.
Real life application, popularly known as DPS Live. This helps the students to make connections with what they have learned in the class on real life situations through observation, analysis and application. Here we have Parth to share his experience.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Pat from grade 1I. I learned a lot about plants and their uses in school. Then I started to like plants as they were a neat, combined cut. Then I thought of growing a plant at my home and adopt a plant. Then my mother took me to a nursery where I saw many plants. Among all the plants, I like the rose plant. Now it has many red roses and it's very beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Parth. Integration of science and mathematics. We have realized the correlation between science and mathematics and have even coined a new term, SIMA, for it. The interconnection is not restricted to scientific discovery, experiments, and activities alone, but is deeply embedded in our daily application of knowledge where math and science are skillfully blended. We now have Aratrika and Sarah to tell us about SIMA conducted in grade 3.
Good afternoon. I'm Sarah. I'm Aratrika. We are from grade 3. Aratrika, I like to explore science by doing various activities. I too agree with you. A year back, India witnessed elections and the people voted for their leaders. Well, did you know we did the same in our science class? Oh, are you referring to the SIMA? Yes, we integrated both the subjects science and math seamlessly. Well, instead of political leaders, we voted for Mr. Carrot, Mr. Radish, Miss Beetroot and Mr. Turnip. Haha, each student voted for their favorite roots. With SIMA activity, we not only explored the nutritive value of roots, but we also integrated mathematics using tally marks and pictograph. Most exciting in SIMA was attempting the given assignment and also peer checking. I love to give my buddy a big smiley for all tasks done correctly. Oh, what an interesting way to learn both the subjects. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah and Aratrika. Apart from this, the READ program encourages students to read books that relate to the theme of the month. This builds knowledge, extends their vocabulary, and critical thinking skills. A synergy is developed between science and reading when our students are encouraged to read stories on science-based themes. Real-life learning is equally important, where our students develop experiences appropriate for early years through sensory activities. They use their senses to discover and explore their environment, which further develops their imagination, creative thinking, and ability to problem solve. They also extend their learning skills and through nature walk and educational trips. Our students enjoy hands-on activities in experiential learning at our Discovery Science Labs. The experiential kits open up doors to deep learning. Students attempt tasks based on process success criteria. Thereafter, they assess their own learning by filling in the student's learning log. The rubric is set for the tasks to highlight the progression. And this sums up our learning activities.
As we are aware that the purpose of assessment is to continuously evaluate students' learning, we use our plenary sessions as a means of formative assessment and thereafter make necessary adjustments and modifications in our concept teaching. For this, we use innovative techniques like quizzes, flowcharts, mind maps, diagrams, games, dialogue writing. To further reinforce the concepts taught during the week, end of the week plenary is also incorporated.
Friends, this is letter L. L says go. Friends, this is letter T. T says to. This is letter B. B says go. This is letter I. I says E. Don't B. I says O. This is a gift for you.
Assignments are also given to the students and home tasks follow a time schedule. After the lesson is completed, the teacher reflects on the students' learning. This helps the teacher to modify the lesson plan and to revisit the concept if required. In case accommodation of the topic is needed, remediation is planned. Assessment for learning informs the teacher what has successfully been learned and what still needs to be learned. Here is a sample of diagnostic worksheet for formative assessment. Peer and self-appraisals are done by our students. This motivates them to take up responsibility for their own learning. Theme-based project and class activities are planned, keeping in mind the process, success criteria, and learning log. For testing scientific skills, activities or experiments are done in the class. Portfolio management is also a skill that is being taught so that the students are adept with organizing their documents, which include the learning logs, formative and summative assessment sheets, live sheets. It gives the parents clarity on the child's learning and progress. The teacher then takes up the remediation measures. Summative assessment is a tool being conducted at the end of the unit. It is specially designed to cover critical aspects and assess a variety of skills like observation, processing data, interpretation, application, analysis, and synthesis. We include questions on high-order thinking skills to challenge their learning. All assessment results are analyzed and effectively used to gauge students' progress. Anecdotal remarks are maintained throughout the year, which reflects the overall progress and development of the students. Teachers set target for their class and compare the attainment data against the target set. Each class result is also critically compared with that of the other sections. Besides this, the students' performance is tracked through school years. Our young students are encouraged to participate in international and national benchmark examinations like the Olympiads, National Science Talent Search Examinations, and ACER. We prepare our young students for TIMSS and PEARLS. All these give the students a platform to go beyond the domains of their classroom learning and explore their capabilities in the world of science. Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and ruler of Dubai, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, has chartered the national agenda, wherein the field of education will witness a radical shift in learning and education systems. We at DPS do believe in this futuristic bold step to create innovative minds.
Dear friends, we come to the closure of our presentation. To summarize, the critical elements of teaching science are planning, implementation, and assessment that need to be supported by reflection, accommodation, and adjustments. A range of all these instructional approaches helps in development of proficiency in science. If need arises, curriculum modification is also incorporated, which completes the full circle of planning. This paves the way for an effective scientific environment in the school. So, let the legacy of outstanding teaching and learning continue and benefit mankind. We thank you all on behalf of Delhi Private School Dubai for attending this session. Any questions? Yes. As for the whole grade, basically we do an analysis. For example, if we feel that the children are poor in, say, let's say physical science or earth science, yes, it will be, the curriculum modification will be made in the whole plan, in the entire plan. But we do the analysis. No, depends upon the grades. Suppose if I find that in grade 3, the children have not done so well in physical sciences, and we track record the data for the previous years also. And if we find that there is a little lacuna over there, then we do the curriculum modification. Yes. Individual also, yes. Ma'am?
If it's individual also, depending upon the need and the requirement, we will make individual modifications as well as the group modification also. And if it's grade-wise which is required, then we do the grade-wise modification. Like, I'll give you an example. For TIMS, when all of us were doing it, we realized that in grade 4, by the time in the CBSE I, there was not enough earth science that we were doing. So gradually we planned backwards. From grade 2 onwards, we incorporated earth science into the curriculum. So that's how we make modifications accordingly.
And you make the materials and all that is needed to include?
Yes, including it. Depending upon the grade appropriateness, we plan it that way.
So all the lesson plans and
Extra remedial sheets, everything will be planned accordingly.
No, till grade 5, the primary. CBSE. Yes.
Yes, sir?
Bit of assessment for learning and
I'll give you the mic.
assessment for learning and assessment of learning, it's clear, but how you differentiate these from assessment as learning?
assessment as learning.
Yes.
So we have the formative and the summative assessments. So we keep on doing the formative assessments on a day-to-day basis. For example, if I take a class today and I will take back the learning of the students as and when we are doing the lesson. So if I find that that child has not understood, that particular child or children have not understood that concept, then we will again scaffold them and give them appropriate support so that the concept is absolutely clear. And for the summative assessments also, we have our portfolio. So what happens is once we mark them and when we see the grades, then we have our targets set for them, and if they have fallen below the targets, then we will see what are the reasons that they have fallen below the targets, and we will bring them to check.
Any questions, ma'am?
The feedback forms which we would request you to please fill in.
Yes. No, we have our school feedback form also.
We will request them to please fill in the feedback forms. Any other questions anybody would like to ask? Yeah, no problem, please.
Portfolio maintenance.
For portfolios, we start with the child has to make his or own file, depending upon whatever creativity they want to do. We give them the free hand. As Chanda ma'am introduced that time, she said, let the children make files out of recyclable material. So we are again linking it to environment. Then we have our formative assessment sheets, which we are grading, summative assessment sheets. We do live sheets, as we told you about the real life applications. So all those sheets are going to be put in that file subject wise. So and also the contract, which is very important, because at the beginning of the session, we are asking the children what they like in that particular subject, what are the strengths, what are their weaknesses, and what they would like to do further in that particular subject. So all this comes along with all those documents, and as a result what happens is that each subject will have a consolidated evidence for both, for three parties. One is the student, parents and the teachers. So if I want to track record how he has done in the first term, I don't, of course everything is computerized, but when I see the physical evidence, oh, the child has not done well because of A reason, B reason, C reason, then we can immediately pick it out and work further on that. And it is a good organizational skill because everybody, all of us are doing filing at home also. So they develop this skill to keep their documents safe, clean, neat, and it is a matter of pride for them.
Subject-wise.
Subject-wise.
And when do the child get into school?
When we have our PTMs also, or otherwise whenever we need it, we ask the children to get it.
In higher grades, it becomes subject-wise. Till the primary, it is all consolidated together, but separated there itself. But when it goes to the middle school and the senior school, it is separated. Yeah, subject.